everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Celeste, or Tarot by Celeste, and I wanted to make a really quick video to talk y'all through a DIY Valentine's Day reading. I'm filming this on Wednesday, so it's just a couple of days before Valentine's Day, and I kind of figured some of you might want to see how to do a relationship reading for yourselves. Pick-a cards are really fun. There is one on my channel if you want my take on your relationship or your crush. But if you're looking to do a reading for yourself, this is the spread that I like to use with my clients. So this video is going to be an explanation of the spread that I use and talking you through how to use the spread. I'm going to have a second video that I'll link in the description, which is an example of how to use the spread. That's me talking through the spread, pulling cards, and explaining how each card intersects. For now, though, let's get into using the spread. So first of all, I want to talk about what this spread is for and what it's not for. This spread is wonderful for looking at any kind of connection that you are curious to learn more about. It will work for romantic relationships. It will even work for friendships and family connections. It doesn't matter if you have a close connection with the person that you're reading about or if you've just met them. This spread is designed to look at things that you may be unaware of. So what's bonding you to the person, the strengths of the relationship, the challenges you may face, what's going on in their heart, in their head, and the short-term outcome. What this spread can't really look at is what will happen long-term between you and this other person. And the reason for that is we all have free will, right? So when you look at any kind of relationship, you're not only looking at the decisions that you're going to make when it comes to the relationship, but also the decisions and the actions of the other person. And that's pretty hard to predict. When you're looking at two people's energies intersecting and intertwining, there's a lot of variables at work. So while we can pretty accurately predict a short-term outcome, and we can certainly look at what's working and what's not working, it's a little bit harder to look at what's happening longer term. That being said, this is a great way to look at whether or not a relationship is going to be worth your while in the long run, or whether you're better off tapping out before you get too invested. So with that said, let's talk position by position about what each of these cards is designed to do. Card 1, Strengths, looks at what is the best aspect of this relationship at the moment. What is the connective tissue holding it together? When we look at strengths, we're looking at what the other person is bringing to the table. What is it about them or about what they can offer you that really is going to help you grow and nurture this connection? The kind of cards we want to see in the strength section, of course, are cup cards. Those are great to see there. Cards like the Two of Cups, cards like the Ten of Cups, those are great things to see, along with any kind of major arcana card. Even challenging major arcana cards in the strength section can be a really good sign because it tells us that there is an intensity to that bond. There's something of value to be gained. If you see the Emperors show up here, if you see the Strength card show up here, even the Death card, really good indications that the relationship offers transformation and growth for both parties. Card 2, or position 2, Challenges, is kind of self-explanatory, but what we're seeing with challenges is whatever might be presenting an obstacle to the relationship moving forward. It can also talk about traits or habits that this other person has that you might not be aware of yet. I will say it's not uncommon to see issues that you're already aware of arise in the challenges section. And if that is the case, you pull a card and you're like, damn, yeah, I can kind of see that. I'm already seeing evidence of that. It's a pretty good indication that whatever you're dealing with now is going to be a persistent issue. So the challenges section of the reading is definitely a really important one to keep an eye on. Card 3, the Heart section, talks about what's going on in the other person's heart, what they're feeling. I like to differentiate between the heart and the head because oftentimes in relationships, what we feel and what we actually think, what our cognitive faculties are telling us to do, are quite different things. So the heart section is going to focus on what they feel, what's going on in their emotional life right now, as it pertains to you, but also as it pertains to their life in general. Where is their emotional state at? And that can be very helpful in determining whether they're at a place in their life where a relationship with you is possible or healthy for them particularly. Cards that we might want to see in a heart position include, of course, cup cards, or any card that indicates a great deal of sort of emotional control and emotional stability. I think those kinds of cards are better to see here than the cards that we typically associate with, new love or fresh love, because we want to see that somebody is emotionally mature. We want to see that they are balanced, that they're capable of being vulnerable and authentic and communicating clearly. For that reason, it's not always a bad thing to see swords come up in the heart section. If you have good communication cards coming up in that heart, then we're looking at someone who not only has feelings, but can actually, communicate them to you and be present, be engaged in the relationship. The head section is kind of a little bit more complicated and convoluted. I think of the head as what that person has going on in their sort of day to day life. What is their brain preoccupied with? Because it's all well and good for somebody to have feelings, but if they can't also be engaged and present in the moment, the relationship might not get very far. It's like people who have good intentions but can't follow through, people who can't kind of get their life together enough to be able to show up for you and connect with you. So the kinds of cards that I like to see in a head section are oftentimes pentacle cards, which indicate a sense of being grounded and having a sort of solid foundation in your life. I also do like to see sword cards here. Again, cards that indicate the capacity to organize your life and communicate clearly. And there are some major arcana cards that show up in head sections sometimes that are a great sign too. Temperance is wonderful to see here. Even the Emperor is not a bad card to see in a head section because it indicates responsibility and clarity and capability. Cards that indicate control are actually great to see in the head section because you're talking about somebody who has sort of agency and responsibility for their own life. And those are good qualities in a relationship. It means that they have their shit together and they can kind of caretake a connection better than someone who is all over the place. Cards that you might not want to see in a head section are cards that indicate a preoccupation or a sense of being overwhelmed. The Seven of Cups is not a great card to see in a head section because it indicates being kind of inundated with other options, other romantic options, but also just generally feeling a little bit overburdened or overwhelmed. A Ten of Wands is not great to see in a head section. Even a Two of Pentacles cannot be always a great card because we have distraction inherent in that. So watch for that. Be careful about what comes up there. It tells you how a person thinks, how they think about you, but also how they process mental strain. And that's a big part of certainly having a long-term relationship with someone is how they handle stress. So the head section is super important. Finally, we get to the outcome card, which talks about where the relationship is going in this moment. That's the important thing to remember about this spread and really about any relationship reading is that you're only reading the energy based on what has happened so far. We're not looking at what happens in 3 months if that person makes decisions that take the relationship down a less good road. We're not looking at the energy in 2 weeks if you decide that you're going to block their number or you decide that you're going to start dating other people. We're looking at things right now. So the outcome card talks about the short-term development of this relationship. But it is a good indication of whether or not you should persist or whether it looks like things are going down a more challenging road. I want you to think of this spread holistically. Look at the whole. If the Strength card is fantastic, you have the Lovers there or you have the Two of Cups, but all the other cards are kind of stacked against you, you might be looking at a relationship that is going to be very difficult to work with. You can have a soulmate or a twin flame connection with someone and still have it be not a healthy relationship, not a relationship that looks like it's going to work out where you guys are in your lives right now. And I'm adding this disclaimer because a lot of my clients get very hung up on this idea of a soulmate or a twin flame, almost as if when that person emerges in your life, you have to kind of totally drop everything else that you have going on, totally drop your self-development and your career and your other priorities to kind of pursue this relationship because you feel that strong energetic connection. Even if that person is really broken, even if they have other things going on in their lives right now that are distracting them from the connection, people feel a sense that they have to try harder and that trying harder will somehow make the outcome better. And certainly, putting effort in does change the outcome. But just because somebody comes up as the Lovers in your reading doesn't mean your time is now.
it is a good indication that that person will continue to be part of your life, and that, at a certain point, you may successfully pursue a relationship. But you really need to look at the spread as a whole. Look at what challenges are emerging. Decide for yourself whether you think those challenges are things that you can work with or whether they're a deal breaker. This is a very good spread to get a sense of whether or not the energy that you're putting forth is worth the investment. Is the payoff going to be worth it?
So I hope that was helpful. I hope you found the spread interesting. Please let me know if you do try it out in the comments. And otherwise, stay tuned for more content. I hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful Valentine's Day, whether you're spending it alone or with a partner. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care.